Years ago in Ekaterinburg, Elisabeta Samara from Constanta in Romania became European champion. So this young lady maybe isn't quite of that class, but nevertheless is the most worthy competitor, and she will no doubt provide a challenge for Sophie Walloe. She just incurred the wrath of the umpire by, I think, not throwing the ball up 6 inches, but I'm sure she will solve that problem.
Early action already, 2 points apiece between these two young ladies.
And the way she's actually playing is very, very typically Romanian. If you look at the Romanian players over the years, I mean, the young lady I've just mentioned, Elisabeta Samar, is somewhat different, but they all tend to be very, very strong and powerful from the backhand. And just watching this young lady in action, the first few points, I think you might find she favours the backhand.
Looks as though that's the case at the moment. It's Denmark's Sophie Walloe in control at 4-3, and that soon becomes 5-3 for the youngster. Both these ladies only 15 years of age, so plenty of table tennis ahead of them and very bright futures. It's Tepelea who takes that point. 5-4 now to the Dane. Serving is the Romanian, and she takes that point as well. So 5 points apiece here in this opening game. Women's class 10 singles. A powerful forehand there from Sophie Walloe. Another one to come.
So earlier this year, Tepelea played in the Hungarian Open, and she won gold in women's team class 6 to 10, and on home soil in the Romanian Open, she was the bronze medalist in women's singles class 8 to 10.
So she's come in with a bit of form.
Just look how she's covered maybe nearly 70% of the table with the backhand. I mean, I don't know whether you should judge countries by styles, but I think if I didn't know where she was from, I might put Romania very high on the list.
It's Sophie Walloe now serving at 8-7, a couple of points away from this opening game. That's a fantastic backhand from the Romanian though, 8 points apiece. Tepelea serving now to put herself in front. And Sophie's pushed that backhand return well long. 9 points to 8. Crucial point here, and it goes the way of Denmark. As the players take a quick break to focus. 9 points apiece now. Anyone's game for the taking here. And it's pushed long by Tepelea. Brings up game point for Sophie Walloe. And the forehand's long, so 10 all. We're going into a tie break in this opening game. Players must win by 2 clear shots now, and will alternate 1 serve apiece. Backhand from Sophie Walloe coming to the floor again. 11-10. She will now have another serve for this opening game. Fortunate let call there. And her backhand lets her down on that occasion. 11 all in at anyone's game at this point.
Well, absolutely, but we did note on that last point that Sophie Walloe did serve to the forehand. Now see, she returns to the forehand. Oh, you idiot.
And she's pushed that return long, so the pressure right back on the young lady from Denmark.
A bit tense, wasn't it?
Very.
That's better.
And good serve there, saves her. 12 all. The game goes on. Tepelea from Romania to serve. And a bit of a tense backhand there from the Romanian.
Right, now Sophie Walloe for the whole of Denmark, serve short to the forehand. Oh, she missed the topspin.
She went where we thought, but didn't convert. 13 apiece into a marathon in this opening game. Oh, but a fantastic topspin forehand. See the angle she produces. 14-13. Can she take this opportunity? A third serve for the opening game. And the net gets the job done in the end for the Romanian. Catches Sophie Walloe off guard and produces the short ball for the Romanian to...
Whoa.
And then an ace down the line.
Oh.
We don't see that very often in table tennis. Walloe backed right on the other side of the table and did not even get anywhere near that serve. 15-14, she's serving now to stay alive. And the forehand is long, so Tepelea taking the opening game here against Sophie's from Denmark, Sophie Walloe. 16-14, here's the replay, Ian. Defending grimly, and then this forehand just goes long here. 16-14, how does that affect the mentality now of the young lady from Denmark?
I think we mentioned this before, win a close game and confidence can blossom, your self-belief grows. I think, looking here from the Danish perspective, there are certain weaknesses which are quite obvious in the play of Tepelea. She's not good from the forehand side, serves short to the forehand, certainly she has problems. But I think when we look back at that last point, Sophie served to the forehand, she got the ball back on her forehand topspin, but then she kept playing to the backhand all the time, rather than maybe playing to the middle, to the indecision area. And the forehand action of Sophie Walloe is just a little bit tense. The elbow doesn't release quickly enough for impact, and therefore there is some tension in the stroke, and if she could just relax a bit more from the elbow with the topspin just before she makes contact with the ball, then she'd impart more rotation on the ball and she would relax.
See if she can level this match up now. She serves in the opening point of the second game, but the backhand is long.
You see, she played the first point out to the forehand, and the coach has told her very, very clearly, go down the forehand, because it's from the backhand that the Romanian is strong.
And she takes that point, does Tepelea. So a perfect start for the Romanian here after taking the opening game 16-14. And there's that forehand we come to know from Sophie Walloe. She's on the board here in the second game, 2-1.
Oh dear. Umpire's getting angry. He's given the point to Sophie Walloe, not throwing the ball up sufficiently.
So a cheap point for the Dane, and she now has the lead at 3-2. Seen a couple of those infringements already this morning, so obviously up to the umpire's interpretation if they make that call.
Then let's be absolutely clear about this. I mean, the umpire does not have to give a warning. If the serve is illegal, then the point immediately to the opponent. There's often a thought in table tennis that you have to have a warning. You don't have to have a warning. That is very much at the discretion of the umpire.
As Sophie Walloe cracks another forehand winner on that top spin side. 5-2 now. The score in this second game, and it's now 6-2, so she's growing in confidence, the young lady from Denmark. And that backhand's just been a little shaky though, as she pushes it long once again. See if she can regroup here with her second serve. No, she's unable to. The nice return from the Romanian.
Well, from Tepelea, her policy must be maybe to play about 70% towards the backhand of Sophie Walloe, because that will stop Sophie Walloe getting a wide angle to the forehand. If she gets a wide angle to Tepelea's forehand, Tepelea's in big trouble.
Sophie Walloe's backhand letting her down once again there, 6-5. But the forehand side is holding up strong. 7-5 now to the young lady from Denmark.
For Tepelea, play the first ball to the backhand maybe 70% of the time, just the odd one to the forehand to keep her alert. And for Sophie Walloe, get that forehand topspin to the middle and to the forehand, not to the backhand, to the forehand.
As she sends that ball a little long. 7-6 now.
But she sent it too long, she was playing too fast as well, not with enough spin.
Let call on the serve. Walloe. And down the line she goes. 8-6 now to Sophie Walloe.
Now, if you're Danish, that was accurate. If you're Romanian, that was lucky.
And she's beaten there, so 9-6 now, Sophie Walloe. Closing in on this second game, and she brings up game point here at 10-6. She'd like to get this one out of the way with this service here. But she can't do so. 10-7 now the score. And the backhand pays dividends this time for Sophie Walloe. She levels this match up now at 1 game apiece as we have a look at the replay. No, not quite. We'll get that one to you shortly. Sophie Walloe just meeting with the coach. Here we go with the replay. The backhand proving the goods this time, and the forehand of Tepelea going long. 1 game all, Ian. It's nicely, evenly poised for us here.
Well, it's evenly poised, and I have to say that I think Sophie Walloe now is the favourite, having won that second game. Difficult when you lose a close first game, but she's got a clear plan of action, which is to play the first ball to the forehand, serve short to the forehand, and I think when Tepelea plays towards Sophie Walloe's backhand, for Sophie Walloe, with the backhand, just put the ball back on the table, put it on the table so she can play her forehand. And from a Romanian point of view, then, as we just mentioned earlier, maybe 70% of the time play the first ball in the rally into the backhand of Sophie Walloe to stop Sophie Walloe getting an angle wide to the Romanian's forehand. But also, I mean, we'll creep into this, just this little bit of tension when it's close. You saw there Sophie Walloe 3 points ahead, then she played much more freely than when it was close in that first game.
Certainly did. As we pick up the play again here in the third game. Sophie Walloe's forehand finding the mark. 1-love here in the opening game. Tepelea to serve, and forehand again finding the mark. As the ball goes to the next court, 2-love. Sophie Walloe now looking to build on this early lead. And now that's a flat backhand, straight back at the forehand of Tepelea. 3-love now. And now she's really stepped up, hasn't she?
Exactly, I mean, the point before was played to the forehand, won the point. The service short to the forehand, won the point.
And it's all of a sudden 5-love.
Yeah, but the coach, credit to him, he got the tactic right. Gold star.
Tepelea serving at love 5, and she's on the board now at 5-1.
But you see, the other point is if she plays the first ball to the forehand, there's a pretty good chance that maybe 60% of the time the ball will come back to Sophie Walloe's forehand, which she favours.
Wild forehand there, though, from Sophie. 5-2 the score. She's got another serve in hand. And there we go. That forehand proving a little vulnerable for Tepelea. 6-2 the score. And she's...
What I would say, though, is Sophie, is just in the excitement of the occasion, make sure you spin the ball and don't play too fast.
She seems to be doing so now. A nice 8-2 lead here, and closing in on this third game. Another powerful forehand winner. 9-2 to Sophie Walloe. And another fantastic topspin forehand sets up game point at 10-2. And she's done it, so the hometown girl, Sophie Walloe of Denmark, goes to a 2-1 lead here in this women's Class 10 singles match. Forehand with some velocity on that, forcing the error from Tepelea of Romania. And Ian, she's really hit back after losing that tight game, 16-14 in the opener.
Simply, she got the tactics right. Absolutely as simple as that. And once she got that very early lead, what was it, 4-0, 4 or 5 or something like that, wasn't
first
it?
5 points.
She's got a 3-point gap then. She's very comfortable indeed. The other thing I would say about Sophie, the forehand actually is very smooth indeed. I'd just like to see it just before she makes contact with the table tennis ball, just the elbow and the wrist to release that little bit quicker. It would make the recovery quicker and it will impart more rotation on the table tennis ball. But I think we have a slight problem. I don't think our umpire has got a first honours degree in electronics.
There's a call for help here from the umpire. Slight delay.
I don't think the referee's not responding. There's maybe a referee on the way, I don't know.
Players are ready to go, but the pointing at someone there. I'm not sure what that's about.
Maybe suggesting that there is somebody from the crowd offering advice to Sophie Walloe in the excitement of the situation.
Concerning here.
I have to say, I think this is, with the greatest of respect, a little unnecessary. It's suggesting that there's coaching coming from the crowd.
Very interesting. We haven't seen anything like that from...
I mean, the position is from the point of view of the coach. A coach is allowed to give encouragement, but not advice. Now, sometimes that can be a narrow dividing line.
All that aside, the fourth game is now finally underway. First point going to Tepelea. So a bit of movement down there from...
I have to say, I'm a bit confused with all this. I'm not clear whether it's somebody giving advice, too much encouragement, taking photographs with the flash camera, anything like that. I'm really not sure.
Sophie Walloe out to a 2-1 lead as we hope to maybe get to the bottom of this situation. And a great rally there from the two girls, but it's Tepelea that takes the point and levels this fourth game up at 2 apiece. Walloe to serve. And the forehand, we haven't seen too many winners from that side from the Romanian, but she's been able to produce one there using the pace generated by Sophie Walloe. Sophie squares the game back up at 3 apiece.
I mean, even though that forehand zipped on, I would still follow the tactic of keep going down the forehand because I think that was a little bit risky.
And she gets a stroke of luck go her way. 4-3 the score to Sophie Walloe. And now an error back on that forehand wing of Tepelea. 5-3. She's within striking distance of this match now. Let call. And full swing from Sophie Walloe down the line. 6-3. Timeout called from the Romanian coach.
I think everybody, frankly, is totally confused who called that.
Was just within, she was about to wind up for another serve, and the call came from the umpire.
She looked quite bemused, didn't she?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
15 seconds gone and she's yet to speak a word, so...
Gone for a cup of tea.
So
the Danish camp are very much in the fray, but I'm not sure that the Romanians have just gone for a quick chat.
yes.
Doesn't look very intense from her.
No.
Oh, there you go.
What a strange match unfolding in front of us from the crowd and the coaches now.
Not sure it wasn't the umpire called timeout.
Sophie shapes up again for another serve, and she floated that long. 6-4. Tepelea of Romania to serve. And the forehand again forcing the error. Sophie Walloe just 4 points away from a berth in the semi-finals. And that's long as well, so 8-4 to the young lady of Denmark, Sophie Walloe. That's gone onto it's got the back edge of the table. So Tepelea clinging on here. 5. And the forehand comes good for the Romanian there, Ian.
That's the best forehand we've seen to play all match.
Certainly is. Let's hope it's not too little too late. She gets another point here, so gives Sophie something to talk about, and a timeout has been called from the Danish side this time. Is that a good call, Ian?
Definitely. You've lost 2 points in a row, but you're still ahead, and yeah, call the timeout immediately. Absolutely, definitely. For me, that's a good call, and of course we have to see if it's a good call, but had I been sitting there as the coach, for sure I would have done that. Maybe what is happening is that, you know, Sophie's seeing the winning line. It's all right saying play 1 point at a time and don't think about winning and losing, but that's easier said than done, my word it is. So she knows how to play, she knows the tactic, and it's now just a case for the next few minutes of self-discipline to bring her through to the delight of this ever-growing crowd, which again, I must say that they've come to support this young lady.
She certainly has the support and the hopes of a nation behind her, does Sophie Walloe. And an error straight away after the timeout levels the scores at 8-all.
Error, but she did the right thing.
She did. She played positive. Tepelea just clinging on here. Another goes begging for Sophie Walloe. Now it's Tepelea with the lead at 9-8.
Well, Tepelea's raised again with the blocking play.
And the defence is sublime from the Romanian as she sets up game point here to take this to a deciding 5th game. 10 points to 8. And it's caught the tape and gone long, so 11-8 all of a sudden. From 8-4 in and well and truly in control. She loses the last 7 points of this 4th game as Denmark's Sophie Walloe, and we're going to a 15.
I don't ever remember saying that was a good call for a timeout. I mean, for sure, I would definitely. She had 8-5.
Yep.
She had 8-5. She came back to 8-7. For sure, you call the timeout. You talk to your player. You just calmed them down, and she didn't win another point. So. That puts my knowledge of table tennis at around about 0. But the Romanian camp, I mean, when they go back for their time out, they very, very relaxed, just have a chat with each other, a smile, but the intensity of the discussions between coach and player seem much, much less intense in the Romanian camp than in the Danish camp.
Certainly do, and this will be the last moment they'll spend with their coaches, as both players have used their timeouts.
That's right.
So, very important message, I'm sure, sent to both ladies here. As we go into a deciding fifth game here on Court 1, Day 2 of the 2015 European Para Table Tennis Championships at Walloe. And the backhand into the net. Sophie Walloe, she's got to stop the rot here. This is about 8 consecutive points for the Romanian. And there it is, so 1 game apiece, 1 point apiece here in this fifth and final game. The crowd right behind young Sophie. And she forces the mistake here. 2 points to 1. And long.
Ooh, that was tense.
The eyes lit up there. She saw the short ball, but tensed up. 2 points apiece. Tension mounting.
Too fast.
Once again, the defence of Tepelea frustrating Sophie Walloe, and she's pulled the trigger too early once again. 3-2. And floats long, so Sophie's really got to pull her head in here, or she could be facing a shock defeat after being well in control of that fourth game.
She's very, very, very anxious.
And that's better from Sophie Walloe. Finding the corner on that favourite wing of hers, the forehand side. And the backhand coming up trumps as well. So a couple of winners there from Sophie Walloe. Levels this up at 4-all. As we have a missing ball, I think, down in the back corner of this court. Ian, is Sophie back in control with those 2 winners? Has that settled the nerves a little?
Well, there's nothing wrong with tactically how she's playing, but actually we've lost the ball inside the court surround, believe it or not. There's nothing wrong tactically, but she's very, very anxious indeed. I mean, you can see it written all over her face, whereas the Romanian appears much, much more relaxed. And we just really need to know the corresponding match between Kamit Dor and Merv Demir as to who won that, because my feeling is that even if Sophie Walloe loses, she will top the group.
Okay. So
I would need to know the result of the other match, but my suspicion is the worst she can do, she's got 2 wins to her credit, the worst she can do here is lose 3-2. So I think that would still give her first place on games ratio if 3 players are level. So I think Denmark can relax a little.
Okay, we may have just settled the nerves of the Danish crowd here, but they're still cheering on Sophie here as she takes the lead 6-4 in this fifth and deciding game.
Just to explain that point, if 3 players are level, you take the results between the 3 players, you take the games ratio, and if the games ratio is level, then the points ratio. And just quickly looking at it, I'm not sure of the result in the corresponding match, but for sure I feel very confident that on that call, Sophie Walloe would have the best games ratio. To confirm that, I would need to know the result of Kamit Dor versus Merv Demir.
Hopefully get those results to you shortly. 7-5 now to Sophie Walloe. An error on the forehand wing. Gives the Romanian a chance to square things up once again. She's unable to. The backhand letting her down. 3 more points will see Sophie Walloe go through the group undefeated. There's the Danish crowd right into this now.
That's good to hear. Yeah, well done.
And it's long from Tepelea. 9 points to 6.
But with that backhand topspin, there was much more discipline. It wasn't hurried. It went 2 or 3 inches over the net with a lot of spinner, so giving him really credit.
And a big forehand sets up match point. 10-6 to Sophie Walloe of Denmark. And an error on the backhand side. Stone cold silence there.
Just as I praised her for the earlier backhand, I cannot praise her for that one.
And again,
Oh,
the backhand into the net. She's got to calm herself down here. Just needs 1 more point. She's got 2 serves to do it now.
And 2 rush points there, aren't they? No.
Very rushed. She's taking her time here to deliver this serve. And a bit of fortune for Tepelea. The tension mounting once again. 10-9. Oh, and another error from Sophie Walloe. And we head into a final game tie-break at 10-all. From 10-6 in front, she has conceded the 4 points to bring it back to 10-all. And an error from Sophie Walloe brings up match point for Romania. Tepelea. And it goes long, so an open look from Tepelea. Sophie Walloe not attacking that ball at all, just defending with every stroke. She saves the match point. And now has one of her own. 12-11, Sophie Walloe to wrap this up. She did lead 10-6 earlier in this game. Can she do it now? And she has. So Sophie Walloe of Denmark survives a very big scare from Tepelea. Arena Marnica Tepelea of Romania. But it's the hometown girl, Sophie Walloe. 13-11, the final score in that 5th game, and that's one of the matches of the tournament, I think, Ian, so far.
Well, absolutely. I think you could.
Here's the match ball from Tepelea, and defending grimly was Sophie Walloe, and the open look goes long, and that
She won't sleep for a week.